Cara, você não tá entendendo. Isso é hoje, aqui. A gente tem que ir lá.
It's a heartbeat, a pulse, a distinct vibration. It's a surge, a rush, the raw of a nation. It's nothing you could have predicted, but everything you believed in. It's nothing you expected, but everything you have achieved. It's nothing you could have trained for, yet everything you would have wanted. It's bigger than you could have imagined, yet everything you always needed. It's everything you achieved, everything you cared about. It's everything you accomplished, everything you cheered for. It's in every strategy planned, in every inch you gained. It's more than gaming. It's more than just support. It's sharing.
Sitting in the center here, coastline in open area. But they all know he gets taken down. So quick from the defense. Through there, they're both on the side. It's gonna run the corner, finds one kill. The second one goes down.
Share every moment. Share every action. Share every emotion. Share every struggle. Share every success. Every triumph. Yeah, share it with your friend, your family, your teammates, your people, your country. Share the unforgettable.
Good evening and welcome to the first episode of The Reload, brand new show here for Ubisoft and Rainbow Six in Oceania. I'm Raven. Joining me is a handsome bunch of guys. I'll let them all introduce themselves, but how are you all doing tonight?
I am
That's
great.
a terrible way. I can't believe you've just thrown that open statement into everyone.
Just take it, Rob. Just take it, mate.
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing really well. Thanks for starting this, Raven. This was your initiative, and I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Good.
We stand for Raven. We stand.
We stand with Raven. And by the way, Zenox is here as well.
Yeah, I'm here too. Don't forget about
Oh,
me.
hey man.
Yeah, just, representing Latam, you know.
Yeah, look, apparently he's a fan of that region, but we've got him here, so he's stuck. Look, this is a brand new show. It's called The Reload, as we said, and it is here to talk about a lot more esports-focused things in Oceania, as we have Oceanic Nationals starting up this week, in fact, tomorrow night. So we'll be able to deep dive into the play days. As you can see on the side, we'll be talking about both play days. We will have a guest joining us a bit later, and we will be talking about our predictions. But The Reload is here to give you guys more information about the scene and keep you up to date. We'll be recapping matches as they happen as well, week to week. So yeah, it's a very exciting thing to be a part of.
I couldn't be more excited. It's one of those things. I mean, like I'll just quickly put my 2 cents in. I think that I feel very privileged to be a part of, the Ubisoft product in terms of delivering this kind of content, and I think it's a very good opportunity for us to kind of produce this kind of stuff and be a part of something a little bit bigger within the content scene, but also two, to help anyone who may be kind of scrolling through the front page on Twitch. They might happen to come across it, and I think that it kind of or Twitter actually, but it helps re-solidify what's going on. So. No, I'm incredibly excited to be a part of this.
Yeah, good little speech there, Rob. I mean, look, I think it's very evident right now who the favorites are. I'll just put it out there. Who doesn't have a backdrop and who does have a backdrop? Clearly, Rob and Guzz are the favorite childs right now. I just put that out because it does,
Professionals.
Yeah, the real professionals, me and Raven, with our beautiful colored panels. And well, I don't have any plants, but I could probably go get one. But looks the sentiment that Rob made, I think it's really good. Yeah, it's always nice to have content and representing Rainbow Six OCE, and being able to just provide a different level of analysis or just entertainment as well outside of the usual broadcasts is really, really good for the scene as a whole. So I think it's going to be a fun little shindig over the next few weeks.
Yeah,
I'm just happy to be here.
Good, Guzz, because that's a surprise that you're happy to be somewhere, right? Because we all ditched you for ranked, and apparently that didn't make you too happy.
I mean, normally I'd be playing ranked right now, but we do have more important things on hand, don't we? So
yeah, we do.
Do we?
Yeah, don't we? Don't we? Look, I would love to introduce our guest, but before we do so, just to bring in the start of Oceanic Nationals, we want to recap Six Masters, and so we do have a highlight package from the final playoff day, day number 3. We will be right back with our guest after this highlight package.
It's the final day for the Six Masters playoffs. Only 2 matches remain. The lower bracket final and then, of course, the grand final. Well, we are about to start a cracking lower bracket final between the Pittsburgh Knights and Okami. Theme Park certainly is going to be interesting.
Oh, that pre-fire is going to give it away at least, and a beautiful peek there from Dino. It's looking good for them so far in this round. He really is on fire. He's happy just to swing.
Can he find a 10th one here? Yes, he can, of course. Double kill for Ippy style. And all of a sudden, time is running out for Knights. Okami has brought this one right back up close. Jack down, immediately eliminated by Hayward. C4 into the gas. Perfect from Joker. Hole in one. Moves back, and it's a good position behind the desk, and it is successful. You can see exactly where he's going to be. And it's a clutch again. Josh, triple kill. It's almost a repeat of what we saw before, Raven. Joker, half health, but he deals with Josh. He deals with the hero, and Okami will deal with Knight in quick succession.
The entire season has been leading up to this moment. It's Six Masters Grand Final. It's Wildcard and Okami. Let's jump in. Gets a double headshot. Great kill from him.
Diesel critically still has this C4, tosses it on out. That denies the plant from Cutie. That's Joker pushing up. He's shut down as well.
Ethan whiffs it initially, but manages to pick up the kill. Wide swings and downs the second.
He's ready for it, waiting for the call from his teammates. Jumps in through the window. Can he find a kill? He gets one. Oh, what a shot!
Oh. Taken down as well. The plan's going down, but it's denied by Ippy style, and surely they can just play time. Okami can secure this round.
Joker still trying to get aggressive here through Aviator. Can the plant go down? The gas is up for Cutie, and he finds one. Imorin still has been going so well so far, but he's taken out. Cutie gets 2. Can he deny this plant? Indeed! What a way to open up the map.
Ippy style finds one as well. Jack Daddy can just spray them down. He finds another. Mangoes will retrade it out.
That was unbelievable. Waiting patiently, but he gets taken down. What's he doing? It's all on Jack. Penny started. He does have time.
Can Emo win this gunfight? He will. It's a 3-on-1. They came into this season to prove a point. They made roster changes. It didn't quite work out, but Wildcard are now your champions of Six Masters 2020.
Only dropping 1 map through the entire tournament, going flawless through the finals. Wildcard, a well-deserved championship.
And they are the champions of Oceania.
All right, so that was a super exciting succession of Six Masters, a great way to send out Six Masters in general. You'll see now, though, we do have an extra guest with us. It is Ducky from Snowball Esports. How are you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm absolutely fab. I get to spend my night with 3 wonderful people in Guzz, and it's going to be an absolute rip snorter of a time talking about Oceanic Nationals.
That was very kind of you, I must say.
I love that you've caught on to the Guzz banter. It's a great way to start the show, Ducky.
Yeah. Look, it's hard to miss these days. Like, you guys abandoned him in ranked, and I felt really heartbroken. I tried to reach out to him, but like he didn't reply to my Twitter DM, so I guess I know where I stand in the pecking order.
Oh, jeez. Oh, so good.
I only stack with quality, mate. I only stack with quality.
Look, honestly, I'm not surprised you don't want to. I'm surprised you don't want to stack with me. Honestly, you don't want any golds in your stack. Understandable.
I am a gold right now, but that is besides the point. Moving on.
Mate, you got to stand high.
Look, Ducky, maybe for those that aren't quite familiar with who you are and what you do, maybe just fill in everybody what you're all about.
Yeah, so my name's Andrew Amos, also known as Ducky. I'm a journalist for Snowball Esports and Desherto. My day job is writing about esports and gaming generally, including Rainbow Six, and my by-night job is writing about esports in Oceania, a lot about Rainbow Six. So I got my start in other titles like League of Legends and Overwatch. I branched out into Rainbow Six at the start of last year. Absolutely fell in love with the game pretty much instantly. Since then, I was honored enough to be able to go to the Six Invitational, and I just love ANZ Esports and I love ANZ Siege, and what I try to do is tell the stories of the players that might be forgotten on the periphery. There's obviously a lot of content out there about NA and EU and LATAM and all the other major regions, but OCE is kind of the black sheep of the esports industry, and I really like telling their stories and bringing them to the forefront. And that's what I'm going to be doing this Oceanic Nationals season, is telling the stories of the players that you'll be seeing duke it out for the $40,000, and obviously a potential spot at the Six Invitational. And hopefully, one day we will have an Australian lift the hammer.
Yep. Amen, brother. Now, Ducky, you got a good way with words. You mentioned it yourself. I just wanted to ask you personally, have you ever seriously thought about getting into casting or any sort of analysis work? Because, this is, you're in that field. You're an outsider, but you hang around like a bad smell.
Don't encourage him, dude. Don't encourage him.
I wish I linked like some like Glen 20, just like the nice.
No, but I'm serious though. Have you ever thought about it?
I have actually thought about it. Which title I would do it in, I wouldn't know, but I have definitely thought about casting. The one thing that holds me back from doing things like casting is I actually don't really like being on camera. And I've always that it's a pretty big one. And I've just always preferred writing. I guess it's just kind of a thing of I like reading things, and so that means I like writing things. I'm not the kind of guy to sit down and watch a lot of videos back to back. I'd much rather read an article, which is why I write articles more than say do video interviews.
See, that's interesting because I don't like reading and I don't like writing. So I feel like this is the perfect gig that we both got. We're in the best of both worlds here.
But yeah, if the opportunity came up, I would definitely have a crack. I've done it before in the past, not for Siege. But I think I could, if with a bit of practice under my belt, who knows? Maybe it is the right line of work for me.
Well, we need someone to replace Raven sooner or later. He's getting a little bit old.
Yeah, look, yeah, it's really.
He's just pushed his Zimmer frame. He's just pushed his Zimmer frame out of frame. And
how old is Raven?
I'll be 29 in 4 weeks. So.
Okay.
Boomer.
So old.
I'm not the oldest here.
Just send me your VODs, Ducky. We'll get something sorted out.
We'll get something sorted out. Yeah, cool.
To bring it back to the days of ranked, having to carry Guzz for so long is really wreaking havoc on my back. Tell you what.
Fake news.
It's tolling, isn't it, Raven? I know the feeling.
It probably has. It probably has given you a few more greys than you would have liked, but.
I don't know if you guys can see it on my beard, but this was all ranked here. Got it on my chin.
No. You've maxed out your health insurance for this year as well already.
Oh, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Yeah, all the physio and chiro.
So Ducky, you covered Six Masters last season as well, which I guess is the successor or the predecessor, I should say, to Oceanic Nationals. Maybe just quickly tell us, what was your highlight from last season? What did you really enjoy with that first season that you covered with Snowball?
Well, I'll give two things here. So I'll give a favorite piece and I'll give a favorite moment of Six Masters. So my favorite moment of Six Masters was when LFO took down Wildcard, because I think that was a really, really big statement match for LFO, who are a team that were, when they came into Six Masters, no one expected them to beat anyone. And then all of a sudden they were out here taking names like nobody's business. And they were the only team to take down Wildcard that season in just a single map. Not even that happened in the playoffs. They ran through it cleanly. And when you look back over the last 3 months or so, they're the only team to consistently beat Wildcard, because they did that in the spring sweep as well. As for a favorite piece that I did for Six Masters, it has to be the MVP interview that I did with Ethan. That was a really big piece for me, at least, because it was actually me on camera. And I've been trying to break over that fear, but it ended up being a nice story to round out Ethan's career for now. Obviously, we don't know what his future holds, but for now, he's out of the wildcard squad taking a break. And that was the last interview with him before he left for now. So I think that if you go back and watch that and read that now, you get a really good insight into how Ethan progressed through his Siege career and obviously what he achieved.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I did watch it back after Ethan retired. And it was a really interesting perspective after the fact, that's for sure.
Yeah. that was the thing, is it's like it's actually aged well because of that. Like normally like those things, it's also nice when they like lead on and then they go on to like greater things. But also if that's like the end of the line for someone, like it was actually a nice little adage, I think, to his career.
Yeah, cool. You guys have any other questions for Ducky, or should we dive straight into play day number 1?
Who's your favorite caster, Ducky?
Jeez.
Great question, Zenox.
My favorite caster is Dev Martyr. There you go.
That's the wrong answer.
You know what?
We don't associate with Dev Martyr
There you
anymore.
go. We don't associate with Dev Martyr anymore?
No.
All right.
He's axed.
All right. Can I say Sky then?
Sure.
Sure.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
All right. Well, I guess on that note, let's start diving into some of these games. We'll just bring up the schedule here for everybody. This is Playday number 1, which is tomorrow night, of course. Incredibly exciting that we are so close to Oceanic Nationals starting. We will be going through these one by one. So, curious, Rhythm versus Okami. That is an interesting and potentially a difficult matchup for Rhythm in particular to start off with.
Are we going to touch on Rhythm at all?
I mean, yeah. You want to talk about it?
Just to clarify very
Just
quickly.
to clarify, who is this Rhythm?
Who?
I feel like we need to very quickly touch on that. I don't know
That
whether
is
it's
an
still...
astute observation, Rob. Well done.
Yeah, don't, mate. You bring me on this show for one reason and one reason only, and
Just to look
I have
smart.
served my purpose. So I'll see you later.
Doing you wonders.
He's off.
out of here.
He's off.
Is it official?
Hey.
Has it been officially announced yet that we know of?
Yes, it has been, because it's on the stream right now. Jake,
This is an
I'm not sure if
official
you noticed.
podcast,
This is the
Zenox.
announcement.
Oh wait, this is live?
Yeah.
Oh
What a
dear.
shocker.
I mean, I could be the
Rob-
serious one here and actually touch on this if you'd like.
Okay,
so
sure.
Rhythm,
I'm just gonna
Guys,
throw Rob under the bus.
Take it away.
So
You go, Guzz.
Rhythm, of course, is Kanga, who have now left that organization. So they were previously known as Rhythm before they joined Kanga, which I believe would have been season 10 or 11 of Pro League. I would have to fact check on that. But before they joined Kanga, they were known as Rhythm. They joined Kanga, obviously, for Pro League season 11, I believe. And Six Masters 2020, they have now departed from that organization. So they are LFO, but they go under that Rhythm branding. And I hate it because I always forget how to spell Rhythm. And I don't know if I'm the only person that has that problem, but I absolutely hate it.
No,
Why
So
do you need
please
to bother
change your
about
name.
spelling, bro? You're a caster. We've just spoken about this.
Every time I have to make a spreadsheet or write something about them, I always get it wrong. So
Just
For
autocorrect.
25 spreadsheets in your Google Drive.
All right. Well, let's get into the matchup. I mean, Okami is a strong team to be up against for Rhythm in the first place. Rhythm have gone through a few roster changes, and Okami, I mean, they've had a roster change of their own.
Yeah, I think that's a really big thing to point out. Is like, Rhythm has obviously lost Spruce over the offseason, which is a big enigma kind of character. Not to be confused with the coach of LFO, but like he's just a very enigmatic character, very charismatic, does great interviews, and obviously was very handy for them in the back end of that squad as well. But I'm really, really excited with Okami's pickup of Specker. I had the chance to interview him before the season kicked off. He had a pretty rough finish to his time on Fnatic, riding the bench, and to see him back on the battlefield is going to be really, really exciting. I'm really interested to see how well his skills have held up over the 6 months that he's been gone on the ski fields of Japan and then back home, trying to dodge some virus that's out here in the wild, wild west. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to see how that old Okami roster stands up. And I say old because, you know, Specker was on that team before he went off to Fnatic, back when they were dark-sided.
Jeez, that's a throwback. That's before I even joined the scene. Holy moly.
that was almost before my time. That was sort of when I
Better
was
days
getting
then,
into
I
it.
guess.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I coached.
Am I now the siege person
Wait.
here? Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Never thought the day would
wait.
come.
Yeah, that was the first team I coached, was the dark sided that had Specker on it. So that feels like a real throwback to me thinking about that, because that was Six Masters 2018.
Yeah,
at
2018.
PAX. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So Specker has been obviously around for quite a while. He's had a lot of high level experience. And as you said, it is his old roster, so to speak. So you would imagine that he'll be able to slide back in with some synergy with those guys. I mean, he touched on that a lot in the article that you wrote, Ducky, that it felt like he was back kind of home. I can't remember the analogy he used. He mentioned virtue as well, but it seems like he is already very comfortable there.
Yeah, he called it the lads. It was just the lads, and now
That's
they're
right.
waiting to complete the holy trinity once Virtue becomes a frail old man and comes back to Oceania off the back of G2.
Yeah.
That's a natural progression, right?
Well, I'm just
G2
gonna
Oceania.
say it though. While we're touching on this, I still think this should be very much one-sided to Akami, right? Obviously, for Rhythm, it's a growing season. I felt like 6 Masters for Kanga was just sort of like the final nail in the coffin, and now it's a matter of the plant growing out of the coffin. It needs a lot of watering, is what I'll say.
I think I would agree with that sentiment. Also, like adding on to that as well, Akami had a number of close matches, throughout the entirety of last season. So it wouldn't surprise me if Rhythm just pulls something out of the hat to kickstart the Oceanic Nationals season anyway.
I think that's a really important thing to highlight as well, because it's BO1s now. So it's like it can be that if the map pick falls in your favor, you can be a lot stronger than your opponents, even though there might be seemingly this massive skill differential in the past. You don't have the BO2 to then be like, it's all right, guys, that was their map pick, now it's ours. Like if the map falls in Rhythm's favor, albeit I'm trying to rack my brain in the map pool and trying to think of a map that Rhythm can potentially beat Akami on. But
wait.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cafe, because wasn't that the map pick that Kanga got a win on last season?
I think it might have been.
I think you're right. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
They actually.
I think it was, because it was against Okami that they got like smashed on. I believe they lost. What was it like? Did they lose an entire half, or they brought back a game? I don't know. There was some weird game between them and Okami, and then they managed.
It was actually 2 close games.
Yeah, like it was some super weird like.
I think they went
two half sort of game.
I think they went 6-8 against Okami in, I think it was like the first play day of 6 Masters. But you're right, they did get smacked out of the gate. It was like 3 flawless rounds in a row against them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then they brought it back, and it actually been kind of close. So I think you're right, Cafe is probably their strongest map in the pool at the moment, at least. And maybe with this new roster, it might change. And that's usually the beauty about new rosters, or sometimes a bit of a curse, but your map pool does adjust a bit. Like your playstyle will change slightly, and maps that maybe you used to be not so great on, you become better at, but then maps you used to be great at, you start to drop off on. So that might be something that's difficult for Okami to prep for.
Look, I'm pretty sure Spruce was the problem after all, so I think we'll...
Hashtag Spruce
there
was
it
the
is.
problem.
Spruce was the goddamn problem. Get out of here.
I reckon Spruce is so happy he's not playing this season, just so that he avoids all the Guzz flame every time that he comes onto screen, honestly. Maybe that was the real reason behind his retirement.
Potentially.
But yeah, I agree with the sentiment. I still think it's going to be pretty one-sided to Okami, but I'm interested to just see how this new look Rhythm roster looks. It's sad that this is another rebuilding season for them, but there's some very talented names on this roster, and obviously the Kanga roster produced Pat and Worthy, who have gone on to do great things on their respective teams since then.
Yeah.
And maybe there is a couple of hidden gems on this roster that we just have to wait and see.
I think the other thing I'll touch on before we move on to the next match is Nevaix, right? Made his debut in the middle of 6 Masters. So obviously now has had a lot more time to sort of adjust. There's new additions as well. I think they'll do better than they did in 6 Masters. I don't see them winning this one though. And I still find it hard to see where they're going to find wins, but it's just the nature of this tournament when there's not that many teams and they're all really high quality, and that's not to say that Rhythm's bad by any means, but obviously someone's got to come last, and I think it's just natural that the team with the least amount of experience and has the most growing to do is going to be more towards the bottom, and I think that's just the nature of it.
Yeah. One last point before we do move on that I'll leave everybody to think about is the last time that we saw Rhythm essentially start with a fresh roster, which was when they debuted in, I can't remember if it was Pro League or whether it was the start of 6 Masters, forgive me. But they came out really strong and they got a draw with Fnatic. It was 6-6. That was Bank, which was the joke we referenced earlier. But look, they were totally expected to get smacked on that, and they came out strong. So they've got it in them, in their history, to be able to pull out these kind of upset starts to seasons. So maybe it's something we'll see with Oceanic Nationals. Cool. Anybody got anything else to say, or shall we move on to Wildcard and LFO?
my match of the week. Honestly,
Sure,
I'm
sure.
very. I think this is.
Ooh.
is the
All right,
match
you
of
want
the
to start
week.
it off, Ducky? Let's go.
Oh, hell. All right, so I've got the insider knowledge. If you, we'll talk about this nearer to the end of the podcast with the Snowball Esports predictions. So I've got the insider knowledge. All you guys have no faith in LFO. None of you have faith in LFO. I have faith in LFO because this is going to be an absolute rip snort of a match. We've seen these guys face off time and time again in the spring sweep run by XP Esports. LFO managed to run away with the 2-0. When we look back towards the Six Masters regular season, LFO managed to get the draw with Wildcard. I think this is going to be a really exciting game. Is Nate's new? Yes. I'm not thinking that that's a name change. It's actually a new player, but he looked very good. And obviously Mims is just an absolute beast on whatever the hell he picks. And I'm very excited to see that if potentially there was a week to upset Wildcard, it would be the first week without Ethan. And that's what they're getting at.
I think that's a very fair assumption to make. The fact that they've, if you have a look at Wildcard's start to last season, when of course Neo and were both replaced with, or not replaced, they were benched, and Gio and Pat came on. The first 4 games that Wildcard played were actually full regulation games. Sorry, so it wouldn't surprise me if we come into this and potentially losing a voice like Ethan, like you're saying, Ducky. I think that could definitely throw a spanner in the works. So, when I don't have belief in LFO, I think it's going to be a hell of a close game. However, I think that Wildcard, I look, all I'm saying is when the 5th comes on, don't know who it is. I don't know if it's been announced yet. I think that will throw a bit of a spanner in the works of the conversation as well. So if and when that gets announced, I think that's kind of why I'm more confident for Wildcard in saying that.
I mean, they played with Vincia in Spring Sweep. So, look, if it's not Vinny, I'm probably gonna do something for clout. Like, I'll just leave it at that. Like,
we'll go out.
I've done numerous things for clout in the past that I might actually have to add one to the collection.
I think
it has been public, right? I'm pretty sure I saw.
No, it is not public. I don't think. I don't believe so, but I can say on good authority that Wildcard should be in decent hands. But what I was going to mention, a pretty similar point to Rob, is that in the past Wildcard have struggled a little bit and had those teething issues with those roster changes. And yes, on the last occasion it was 2 players out, which of course is going to have a significant impact. But the fact that it was Ethan of all the players to leave, I think is can't be understated, right? He was Snowball MVP, I believe, as well, at least in the regular season. I think he might have been outed by AP Style, I can't remember, but he was also one of the top fraggers. He had multiple games where he was just running around clicking heads, taking the pressure off the rest of his teammates. So hopefully the player that does fill this void can bring that same level of fragging capability to the team, or they could be in a little bit of strife.
Mate, never forget the bloody Warden versus Ethan deadlift on Consulate in that series.
Right.
I mean,
that was insane.
I'm struggling to believe what I'm hearing right now. This is the team that was plus 46 last season. Yes, okay, they dropped a map to LFO, and this is probably where you guys are building this all off and whatnot. Blah blah. Look,
it's the storylines, bro. You gotta build the
Wildcard
storylines.
is not losing this. There's no way in hell they are going to be losing this.
What are you putting on it? What are you putting?
Can someone clip this? Can someone clip that statement and send it to me?
Go for it.
I'll play it on broadcast tomorrow night.
I want your shoes, Zenox. I want your shoes.
You want my shoes?
Yeah, we're playing for shoes right now. If you win, you can have my Uggies. And if I win, I can have the shoes you're wearing at the moment.
They're my Uggies. I'm wearing my Uggies too.
All right, let's go. Mine are Rivers Uggies, so I'm more than happy to go for this.
Look, to stay on track here. Look, Wildcard obviously, as Guzz has alluded to, they're going to be in safe hands, right? They're still by far and away, at least in my eyes, they should have the respect to be considered the best team coming in for Oceanic Nationals until proven otherwise. Based off, of course, the complete and utter domination that it was for Six Masters. And look, LFO, they were minus 12. They actually had the second worst map differential in Six Masters. So a lot of their wins were close, but some of their losses could, be a little bit one-sided. So I think LFO will be good. And I think they will be roughly around the same position as Six Masters. Anywhere from 3rd to 5th, I think, is sort of their potential to maybe their low point. It could go down to 6th if everything goes really bad. But I don't see this. I really don't. I think it's wildcard all the way, and I think it'll be pretty one-sided. I think, especially with the new edition, they want to prove a point. They want to make sure that, prove people like Ducky wrong. And they'll just come out and they'll brush LFO aside. Maybe towards maybe towards the back end, or maybe towards the middle end of the season, they might let up a bit. But I think they'll come out pretty strong.
I think the other thing to consider too is this is a really important stage for wildcard because they have SI points in the bag right now, and they will be wanting to secure more SI points because, I mean, I haven't done the math, but I'm pretty confident that actually gets them a spot in SI if they manage to get the SI points again from the upcoming major. So this is a really important stage for them, and they've done a roster change that can totally mess with synergy, and we won't really know how that looks until we see this first game. But look, I don't see them letting this season and thereby most matches really slip by the wayside. They looked so strong last season and again in the major.
I mean,
and they had
say that though. Sorry to cut you off, Raven, but like every single team, I'm almost 100% certain. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I think every team has got at least one roster change. From what I can see.
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's
I don't
correct.
think there's any excuse in that regard. So if there are teething issues, there's no excuse because everyone's going to potentially have teething issues. And you can continue your point now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, to that point as well, you could still use an excuse because maybe their teething issues are worse. So they could say...
when you think about the quality of a player that's being replaced as well. Not to say that the other guys that are being replaced on other teams are absolute garbage, but like it's Ethan for someone else. Like at best in OC, that's going to be a side grade. Like
I think it would be disrespectful to the other guys in the team though to say. And look, I know you're not getting at that. I know it's not just the Ethan show. It's not Ethan Card Gaming, but those other guys are really really good. So.
Look, if I could have it my way, I'd have 5 diesels. Like let's be real with you. He's a big brain. He needs a big brain.
He's got a big heart as well.
He can gun as well. Like I think some people probably don't know that as much about Diesel. I mean, he had a few seasons where he gunned really hard, but he is generally one of the hardest support players on wildcard. But yeah, he can really pop off if he's running hot. So he's a danger player. In terms of this match, I still kind of agree with the sentiment that I think Wildcard are going to take this. LFO can definitely bring that upset material like you talked about last season. They really did take down some really big teams and put on some really good performances. But I just don't see that being enough for this week.
Oh well. Look, you guys aren't listening to the winning tipster from last season, so I'll be expecting my check in the mail. So...
Well, I already know who's going to be last in week 1 then.
Yeah, Sky, probably.
Only
because he's not on the podcast.
Yeah, probably a chat, poor guy. Jeez.
It's all right, Sky. We've got you, mate. We've got you.
And we love you, Sky. We love you.
All right. So, maybe Guzz, do you want to share maybe 3 things that you're excited about for these first couple of matches?
Sure, I can do. So the first point that I have here as sort of a point of excitement is, of course, Specker rejoining the Siege community. We sort of touched on this earlier, but I'm super excited to sort of track his own personal performance and how he slots into that roster, because as he mentioned in that Snowball Esports interview, when he joined Fnatic, he wasn't really as much of an active participant in that squad as he would have liked, and his results in, the Six Masters 2019 LAN, and arguably the APAC Finals LAN in Season 10 was sort of reflective of that and was his demise. That was when he was then omitted from the team. He went for his little break and now he's back. So I'm excited to see if he can bring back that form from probably the dark-sided days, is arguably when he was at his best. And I know it's probably a little bit of a meme at this point, but back then that's when you could lean really, really quickly, and the mechanical side of the game really favored that sort of game style, as Ducky is demonstrating. So obviously he can't rely on that anymore, but I was still pretty keen to see him on the battlefield, and I think he'll do a pretty good job. Moving on from that, the second point I have here is really to track rhythm and have they actually improved over the course of the break. Because as we mentioned, this is, again, probably a rebuild period for them, having those roster changes. But I have to be mindful what I say here because I don't know what's public, but they need to be careful of relegations. We don't know exactly, it hasn't been publicly announced exactly how that's going to play out. I don't believe, but you can't rebuild forever. If you have a
Well, it
shocking
has
season.
now. Good job.
No, but we know there are, like, we know there's relegation.
It is on Wikipedia. There is one team going to relegations.
I wouldn't always
it's
trust-
on.
I
If
wouldn't
it's on
always trust
Wikipedia, it may as well be
Wikipedia.
official.
Don't
I mean,
trust
Wikipedia's still got half the teams wrong.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
true.
trust, don't trust Wikipedia. Trust me, it's not always right.
There was a quick press release earlier in the week. If you guys want to jump on to Rainbow Six ANZ socials, I think something got shared. I know there is some stuff public, but yeah, kick on.
Okay, yeah, I just want to be careful what I say.
Shane and Dell in chat are just absolutely losing their minds right now. They're like, going, holy shit.
Oh, I've just been
Don't
taken.
say
I've just
anything
been taken
bad.
off the roster for tomorrow night. No, but really, my point is that they can't rebuild forever, right? It gets to a point where you actually need to show up, get some results on the board. Otherwise, you're going to be sent down to the Challenger Series or whatever it's going to be called publicly, and then you're in real strife. So I think they need to be really mindful of that over the course of this season. And then jumping into the wildcard LFO match, the main point I have here is who will wildcards fifth be? As Ducky mentioned, Vinny was playing for them in the XP Esports series. Again, not officially confirmed that he is playing, but those shoes are very big to fill. A lot of expectation going into that role. SI points on the line, the major as well. So if he or she enters that position and struggles, then that could bring the whole team down. So hopefully that player can perform well and wildcard will, still dominate OCE, which I think most of us, except for Ducky, are probably expecting.
Oh, look, you say that. I still have wildcard as my tip to win this season. I
was gonna say against LFO, I was about to lose it.
No, actually, Enigma's PayPal'd me. I've just seen the notification come up. LFO to win.
That's how it works.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's how I tip. I don't take bribes, but also.
Well, look, all right, guys. If you didn't announce, and it looks like Magic has, it's bottom two from OCN against top two from an open qualifier.
Well, there you go. See, Wikipedia is wrong. Boom.
Yeah. So
I guess
super
I've been lied to.
Two teams.
I think just very quickly, yeah, touching on that, if that is the case, if the bottom two from OCN are going to be, not relegated, they're going to be, is it against, yeah, they're going to be fighting against two from an open qualifier, if that's how I'm reading that.
Yeah.
I think that makes things really interesting when you look at the ladder of last year and you have a look, Elevate was 7th and they had so many close series and just couldn't get across the board. And we know Elevate have been unbelievable in past seasons. So, there really is just a massive open kind of gap there that's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, sorry, I just kind of wanted to add to that comment and give it a bit of context.
Totally fine. And look, to add to that too, other information that I know is public is that it's the seasonal promo relegations tournament. And so for those that aren't fully around the terminologies, seasonal means a full 12-month period. So we will have 3 stages within a season next year.
Wow.
So like that's a big deal, right? You're going to be out of the national level for 12 months if you do end up getting relegated in that tournament. So it really is like big stakes, and it's a big chunk of pressure for teams like Rhythm to go through the regular season in the back of their minds with.
Yep.
Indeed it is. Well, I think it's time, Raven, to maybe break up this discussion with a little bit of content. And I will preface this video by saying that as, a founding member of the Caster Stack, I think it's fair to say that some of the members have worse aim than others. And as the next clip will show you, I think Raven may have been using this as his controller input the whole time.
Oh, here we go.
Now presenting Guzz's content of the week. Mom, get the camera.
Then you haven't been here very long and you probably need to click subscribe because we made some potato programming adjustments and went off. Oh, get out of here. Get freaking potato doink. If I press this top button, I can disengage, re-engage. Oh, baby. I guess you could say that my aim with a potato is potato aim. Let's go. Let's go. Oh! Oh no!
Wait, he's actually playing with a potato?
He's literally playing with a potato. Not even look up a street.
Basically, homeless is playing
He's
with a
playing with
potato.
a potato.
Oh, get out of here, kid! We mid? Yes, get out. Get out. 3K. Top fragging with Potato. The most kills in the game. Let's go. Oh, let's go. Let's go. That's big time. Let's go. Get freaking turned on with Potato. Big time. That's freaking huge. I gotta prove that it's real, dude. I gotta prove it. Nice.
All right, just so everybody knows, I don't use a potato as a controller, and I might potato occasionally, but I'll learn up to it.
You don't use a potato, you use a sweet potato, bro. We just saw it. Like, there's a difference.
It did kind of look like Raven too, which made it even funnier.
That's why you chose it. Oh, that's why.
Yeah, 100%.
Classic. I should have expected that.
Don't do too many of those, otherwise he might kick you off the show.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And more importantly, the rank stack as well, which is what I'm more concerned about.
The elo stack, no.
Yeah, look, that was awesome. I loved watching that clip, and just in general, that content was great. So make sure you go and check out the full video on the YouTube channel. But now we can move on. Elevate and Knights is going to be a huge game. Honestly, this is my game of Play Day 1.
It's the big dogs.
Well,
this is the game of the week.
Yeah,
all right, yeah, it's tied. I call it tied. It's a very, very big game.
I think I would agree with that as well. It's actually both of those games back to back is just insane. Like,
Rip, Snort, and Siege is what we've got
Yeah,
straight up on Wednesday.
I mean, so many questions, but like, you know, Strider now disappearing from the Knights. I mean, obviously, we've
wait, hang on, disappearing? Like, is he just vanished?
He's gone off. He's gone off to become a farmer or something.
Did he go swimming? Did he take a walk down to the beach, go into the ocean, and we've just never found him?
Never heard from him ever again. He is now.
If you don't get that reference,
he went down to the servo bro.
If you don't get that
just
reference,
not
it was one
since.
of our prime ministers who did that.
Yeah.
No clue.
That makes it even worse.
Well, you haven't heard of old mate Halty?
Yeah,
I have heard of it.
Holt went
That's what
down to
makes
the
it
beach
worse.
and never came back.
I don't think he's gone that far. He's just not playing Siege anymore. It's not, you know.
You mean Halty or
He's
Strider?
doing uni or something.
Jeez.
I mean, okay, I'll actually say something serious here. I think both of these teams individually have some of probably the most like interesting storylines heading into Oceanic Nationals. You have Elevate on one hand, who finished a disappointing 7th, and as Rob alluded to earlier, if they finish there this season, then they're in real trouble of being relegated. So they have to be mindful of that. So they're going to be looking to bounce back in form and try to replicate season 11, in fact, where if it wasn't for COVID, they would have actually made the LAN. So they had a big fall from grace in Six Masters. So a great opportunity for them to bounce back. Knights, on the other hand, they were having a real big upward trajectory in form, right? They managed to somehow squeeze into the playoffs, performed really well, took down Sinister, and then they even performed quite well in the major. I believe they 2-0'd Okami. They managed to take a map off wildcard as well in the best of 5 grand final. So they were looking really, really strong and maybe a contender to finish in the top 2 or 3 this season. But with Strider being out of the squad, someone who I think brought a lot of sort of personality and structure to that team potentially as well, will be a loss. So they're going to have to work through that, and hopefully it doesn't take them too long. Otherwise, again, they'll find themselves in trouble like so many of these other teams could.
Yeah, and I think it's almost equal on the other side for Elevate. Like, what we've got on here is, we've talked about roster changes a lot, but I don't know much about Sajon, or however the hell you pronounce his name. Sage, Sargion, Sajon. Someone tell us.
Miss Sage.
You can tell us in Twitch chat. And then we've got Hotshot on the other side, who Elevate are hoping is a hotshot, because he's a complete unknown. Like, all we've really seen of him is the 45-second clip of him on the Elevate
the guy
Twitter.
who owns CLG?
Oh,
Jeez.
Yeah,
it's definitely that guy.
oh, that's a throwback. Didn't realize he had swapped the codes, mate.
Look, with Hotshot, he used to play for Cryptic, I believe it was, multiple seasons ago. I don't remember which season they were in before they got relegated, but maybe it was season 10.
Yeah, I think it was season 10.
Yeah, but like, he was pretty fresh to that level back then, so I still agree that he's a bit of an unknown. He's obviously had a lot of time to grow as a player, and now that he's going to be on a roster like Elevate that is full of a lot of experience at being a high-performing team, so good to remember that Pro League Season 11, Elevate finished second, and they were narrowly behind finishing first, ahead of Fnatic. So like, that was pretty recent. I mean, it was almost 12 months ago, but it feels pretty recent, right? So I just think with that environment, maybe a player like Hotshot could really grow and surprise people.
I think it's interesting that you note, like, we note that as recent as well, and like for a lot of the players on Elevate's roster back then, season 11 of Pro League was their first or second seasons at the top level. A lot of them had just turned 18 before then. Like, you're looking at names like Digital, and it was a really big breaking point for them. And it was sad. I guess it was kind of sad in a way to see the wheels fall off as hard as they did in Six Masters. So they're out here with almost nothing to lose and a lot to gain and a lot to prove. And I think those kinds of teams are the ones that you have to be the most wary of in a vacuum when you're looking at it.
And I think, like, just to go on from that, like, you know, from the outside, if you look at the table and potentially maybe even some of the games there were, you know, they maybe didn't perform to their to the best that they really could. But I think when you do cut it back to pressure moments, or, you know, like anything where it's, you know, like you are under that stress, they were going to full regulation or overtime in 6 of their matches. So that's nearly half of their matches last season saw full regulation, and they were only able to grab 1 of those games. So, you know, if you make that 2 games out of 6, that means that they are then on track with Pittsburgh Knights, LFO, and Team Ferox. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you can get a little bit unlucky in the season, but at the same time, we don't have time for luck, you know, like it literally is just who is best on the day. And I think it's one thing that I actually don't mind about us moving to the best of 1 on the day format, which is you can have an off day and it doesn't completely destroy, you know, your hard work for that week leading up. You then have a day to walk away and rest and think about what has actually gone wrong and adapt to it to Friday. Obviously different teams, but it still gives you that ability to not get slapped around on the one day.
I think that's a Ripsnon analysis there, Rob.
They call me Rob the analyst, the desk analyst.
You've got the pen for it as well. Like, if you just got the pen in hand, just flicking it around. Oh, he's got the diary. Oh, look at him go. Esports historian 2.0, Mr. Manic Monday.
I'm claiming that. That is in my Twitter bio now.
I think a big storyline for this match is I mean, there's 2 big storylines here that jump out to me. One is obviously, can the Knights continue the form that we saw from them at the Major without Strider? Because obviously that is a big omission. He was a great player for the Knights. He performed really well from a support role in that matter. So hard to say how that's going to work out for them. But on the other hand, it's the same for Elevate. But from the other end of the scale, like, they're trying to fight back from 7th, like we said. There's no time for them now to dwindle down there. They need to regain that strength that we saw in Pro League Season 11. So that's why this is really an outstanding match for me for Playday 1, because it just feels like the stakes for both of these teams is quite high. And I mean, of course it is for every team, but it's just 2 different, very like competing storylines that we'll get to see a really interesting clash over. It's hard for me to call. This is probably the hardest one for me to predict as well, because I do have a feeling that Elevate will be able to claw it back. And just because of the hesitation of how the Knights have been playing, I wasn't 100% sure, and completely honestly, I don't remember who I predicted for this.
Well, I'll let you know, this is the tightest predicted game that the Snowball Esports expert panel had. It was a 4-3 split, and the split went to Elevate's way.
Quote, experts.
Yeah, because we've got you on there, Zenox. That's why we have to have the quotes.
Thank you.
Self-proclaimed experts.
Yeah.
Can I just say, though, I think this matchup, at least for Playday 1, is the first one where I look at it and say, if this was Six Masters, I would have predicted 1-1. And this is where obviously best of 1 is going to really show force here, right? Because I think either Elevate or Knights whoever loses the first round could then take the second round. That can't be the case now, of course. It just is who plays the best in the BO1. So whether you hate the format or you love the format, it's going to show itself here in games like this, where 2 evenly matched teams, only one's going to walk away as a winner.
Yep.
geez, you are spot on there, mate.
It's almost like the plant analogy from before as well. It's just I'm on point today. Let's jump on to Ferox. Let's jump onto Ferox and Noble here though, because this could probably be the opposite of Elevate Knights. I think Noble. Well, see, originally, now I predicted Ferox originally because this was when Noble was Malincat, and I thought, you know what, they got some new additions. You know, Ferox kind of need to make sure they kind of kick themselves up the bum a little bit this season so they don't drop into the relegations. What a way to start the season then with a win, new roster additions, etc. Blah blah blah. And then Malincat becomes Noble, and I'm thinking, nah, there's no way they're going to lose their opening game under the new organization. I switched my vote. I've gone Noble. And I think it won't be a total stomp, but Ferox are going to have to really put up a good fight in this match because they're going to have a tough season. You know, speaking of Elevate, I don't know if I can see them finishing, what was it, second last. I don't see them finishing second last. Like, and then someone's got to drop down. Is it Ferox? Is it LFO? So I think I'd like to just see like a relatively close one here, but I think Noble will take the chocolates.
I think like the Ferox shift as well, and they've got Nazgul and Oda in, is going to be interesting to see as well because they've lost Warden, who I think was their best player last season.
Definitely a big one.
And I don't think that's uncontroversial to say that. And I think it's just going to be interesting to see how that new roster gels because in reality they only have 3 weeks until their either playoffs or relegations fate is decided. And so they've got to get on quick. And if they win, if they beat Noble, which I don't think they will, but if they beat Noble or if it's a close 7-5 affair or goes into OT, then if you're a Ferox fan, you can feel comfortable heading into the next few weeks that they can definitely pick up a win here or there because Sinister, Malincat, now Noble, were that team last season that could like look like the number 1 team, and then in the same week also look like the number 8 team. Like it was, I think their performance was the most wildly varied of teams last year or last season. And you know, depending on what version of them shows up, obviously they've got President now, and that will be very exciting to watch. But depending on that, I can see Ferox definitely taking one away from him.
And yeah, that storyline that you sort of bring up there about Noble's inconsistency is what I was going to dive into a little bit because we have seen them previously. In fact, when Sinister picked them up, they had the New Org jitters for quite a significant amount of time. In fact, there was a whole debacle on Twitter, I believe it was, a bit of like talk being smack talk being talk. That was a terrible analogy. But
Great job, Guzz. You really
yeah.
that one.
But my point is, they probably weren't playing at their best. And it took them a while to sort of get a feel for that roster. And we saw them play quite well, right? In the back half of Pro League Season 11, they went flawless. Six Masters 2020, the regular season was quite strong until the playoffs where they dropped off. But I do think that if, let's say, hypothetically, Vinny leaves the team to join Wildcard, as he played for them in the XP Esports event, and President fills that hole, that's going to sort of increase the validity of the volatility of that team, I believe. And it's been at times where it's been at these high pressure situations where they have struggled. They're versing a team that they haven't versed before. 2 new members could throw a spanner in the works, and Noble are a team that when they have been under pressure previously have struggled. So if Ferox somehow come out of the gate strong, I reckon they could be a chance to snatch this one, but Noble should take it, you would think.
I think that
Sorry, I'm quite distracted by Twitch chat right now because old mate Martin Cobbing has come in with the bloody raid and it's just filled with bloody Mozzie like emotes.
It sure is. It sure is. I was watching that fly as well while Guzz is talking. But look, I think he brought up a great point. It was something I was going to counter argue with Zenox. He said that he just doesn't see Noble losing because of their announcement, but I think it's more the other way around based on their history that maybe it will give them some jitters. You never know, because it's happened with other teams before with their pickups that they get like those first match nerves just because they're representing a bigger org now, and it's this opportunity that just gives them that extra pressure. But at the same time, Ferox had a bit of a hot and cold season in Six Masters, and they have had some changes as well coming into this, so that makes it tough to predict either way. I'd still definitely lean towards Noble, given that they looked overall like quite a strong team in Six Masters. They did fall a little bit short in playoffs, and they did not meet expectations. I think a lot of people thought that they would be the ones making the grand final against Wildcard, but that didn't eventuate. So I think they're going to be out for a bit of revenge here. I think Noble are probably going to have a strong Oceanic Nationals, but yeah, sometimes it can be tough to predict, and yeah, that's just how I feel at the moment.
I think I'd second that. I think it's one of those things where it's like, you know, fool me once, shame on you, shame on me, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, I think that it is one of those things for Noble. They've now got the experience behind them, and they've got some unbelievable players on there. So, you know, coming in, I think the announcement, obviously, you know, I'm just going to reiterate what you guys are saying. The announcement could go either way. I think because of the fact that they have had a rocky performance on their debut, if you will, I think that might fire them up. If that doesn't fire them up, then their performance in the playoffs will. You know, the fact that they weren't able to get past, you know, like you were saying, Raven, we were expecting them to go all the way. We were expecting them to go the distance and actually challenge Wildcard. And unfortunately, they didn't. But now this is their opportunity to come back with a vengeance and take a chunk out of Oceanic Nationals to begin with.
No, I mean I think Noble have a lot to prove after bowing out of playoffs so early last season. Whether I think their chances are stunted without Vinny, I think the jury's out for me on that, because I think Vinny was a very big star player for them. I think he was the only person in the regular that we named Snowball MVP twice in the regular season. Was Vinny, because he just put up so many outstanding performances for that roster. Obviously, you can't discount the name value of like Nico or Milo or Derpe, who are on that roster, who are all star-studded players in their own right. But I think this is a real good game to kind of get a feel for how the power rankings are going to look, because this is a game that could make Ferox look good or make Ferox look below average. It could be a game that makes Noble look like a title contender or someone that's trying to scrape into playoffs. Like, because I think like the middle of the pack here that we're talking about, and we were talking about, yeah, we really like LFO, we really like Elevate, we really like Knights, we really like Noble, we really like Ferox. Like, at the end of the day, 6 teams are going to be making it to playoffs. And I'm going to go out there and just say I think 2 of them are locked in Wildcard and Mikami. But then you're going to have the other 6 fighting for 4 spots. Like, this is going to be a real good eye test game to figure out where the power rankings are actually going to be.
Do we know is it confirmed that President's debuting this week? Or is it
I believe so.
Yeah. Right. As far as I know. Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a great matchup. And to your point, yeah, the rest of the team of Noble are strong players. Even Fisher Guy, I think, is often underrated. He's had some really good performances as well. Never really like that straight MVP kind of level, but I think consistency is a great quality in a player. And I think Fisher Guy is generally quite consistent. So I think it's
just don't put him on Monty. Don't put him on Monty. Noble, if you're watching, do not.
It was the biggest bait. It was
or
all
I'll be very mad.
I forgot about
Don't do
that.
it.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Look, I agree. In particular, I can picture a few SAS shotgun kind of highlight reels out of Fisher Guy, somewhat Diesel-esque if you want to go down that path. So I think a lot about Noble's performance is really just going to be about how that transition from Vinny to President goes. I think if that goes well, then I think they'll end up placing quite high again.
I guess it's just a wait and see. That kind of just wraps up the first playday, which I think is absolutely like barn burners from start to finish. Well,
yeah.
Look, I might be a bit honest on the first one. I think that could be a bit one-sided, but look, it's going to be some good games. There's going to be some good games.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the first playday. Honestly, it's always exciting for the first one because, like we've said a lot, you never know how these roster changes are going to affect teams. And all the prep that they've had through the off-season, teams do rise and fall all through that practice. So we'll start to get a bit of a picture, at least, on this first playday. To move things along, let's hear from Zenox. Like, what 3 things are you most excited about for those last 2 matches on playday 1?
Second best segment of the night. The best one's coming up later. So obviously we've spoken about this pretty much at length. I feel like, but I'll just touch on sort of the three things that I'm excited for in the two matchups between Elevate Knights and Ferox and Noble. The first one is, can Sage fill Strider's shoes for Knights? That's obviously going to be a big talking point. Besides, also, how do you pronounce his name? That's the second big talking point. But look, Strider, obviously, I thought is such a great character for the scene. I think we're going to really miss him deeply, and I think potentially Knights may miss him deeply too. So big eyes, obviously, on how Sage can go there. The second thing I'm excited for is obviously, and again spoke about it at length, the debut under the Noble banner for X Sinister. Also, RIP for Maloncat. Maloncat.
I was so
HQ.
looking forward to hearing you guys cast that.
I was
actually
not going
devastated.
to call the Maloncat.
I would have been okay with it for the first week and then stop it there, but we don't even get that. Also, this is a bit of a long-winded second point, but can also Noble stop the losing streak? Of course, they got dumped out of the Six Masters playoffs in straight sets, right? So a little bit of embarrassment there. They lose to Ferox here. It's technically 3 losses in a row at the high levels. So they're going to need to try and turn fortunes around and roster changes, etc., and potentially the President's debut as well. A lot of eyes on them. I remember Ducky coming into my DMs and he was like, "Oh, President, really excited about to see how he's going to go." So hype there, and just a lot of different paths that this game can go for Noble. And lastly, the new acquisitions for Ferox, which is Odo and Nazgul. Of course, Odo was a part of the original Ferox before the Ferox org picked up the Fury team. So kind of a reacquisition there. And has been spoken about the loss of Warden and how that's going to go for them. So there's certainly the trend for this week is going to be the roster shuffles and how everyone's going to line up there.
It's glad to hear that you actually opened the DMs that Ducky sent you, unlike Guzz.
I'm not that rude, okay? I gotta give him a bone.
Yeah.
I bet you I was the first person to send you my predictions, wasn't I?
No.
That's where I was like,
you
guys.
You were. Look, there were about 4 of you at once, and then I had to knock on someone's door, Manic, on Monday morning.
My door. For sure, it was my door. Mate, I got errands to run. I'm definitely not in lockdown.
Yeah. He's a busy boy.
Oh, classic. All right, well, that is Playday 1 all wrapped up. We will just take a quick break, but we'll be back with Playday 2 very shortly. All right, welcome back.
Serious face.
Yes, look, there's a lot of giggles as we're about to come back to Playday 2. I was a bit concerned what we were going to have when the cameras came back, but thankfully everybody was decent. Look, we're here with Playday 2. Let's keep the ball rolling. We can start talking about Ferox versus Okami is the first match for Playday number 2, which is on Friday, by the way.
Yep, Friday. That'll be 7 p.m. I believe we kickstart everything, but
Yes.
I think I'm just going to go straight off the bat. I think that we've done the introductions for all the teams. We've got out all the roster changes. We've spoken about everything. So this part will probably be a little bit quicker. I think that I would like to see Ferox kind of come out of the gate swinging against Okami, but I just don't. Honestly, I just don't see it happening. I think that both of these teams, they were seeing some very close series, so it could potentially be one of those games where it turns on its head a little bit, and potentially Okami let the first couple of rounds slip, and it just kind of gets out of control. But I am personally expecting the pace of Okami just to burn Ferox out in this one.
Jeez, are they running? Are they fighting? I don't know. They're swinging. Yeah, they're
Swinging.
What are we playing here?
Castle baseball.
More than Siege, from what I'm hearing.
It's a battle of the minds. It's chess, boys. It's chess.
Oh, now it's chess.
It's bloody boxing. We're out here.
Jury's out for me on this one until I see how Ferox perform. I'm not too worried about Okami. I'm worried more about Ferox. Jury's going to be out for me until I see how they perform on Wednesday. If Ferox put up a strong showing, then there is a chance that they could back that up with a win against Okami. But if they look particularly weak against Noble, 7-0's on the cards.
Oh, 7-0, you say? That's a big
wow.
Goal.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Okami were one of the teams to get us. Well, I mean, they were also 7-0 last season, but I'm pretty sure they were also one of the only teams to also get a 7-0.
Yeah, look, I think there's no doubt Okami coming in as the strong contender in this matchup, as well as the season in general. But look, I'd be really surprised if they lost this matchup. I think Okami coming through with the strength from the Major and the Six Masters playoffs as well. Picking up Specker, I think is quite a good pickup for them. Specker can be a really impactful player. And I think given that he's had a big break and he talked about his mental reset, I think in particular could really elevate Specker as a player on that roster. So I'm predicting that they're going to be quite a dangerous team to be up against. And honestly, I just don't see, even if Ferox do come out on a good side from their roster change, I still don't see that being enough to be able to take on Okami and play day 2.
I think for me, this is probably going to be one of, if not the quote-unquote messiest games of the first week, because traditionally both of these teams play extremely aggressive metas. Ferox, for example, on their defense love to play such a heavy roam game, and then you've got Okami who do pretty similar things with Ippy style, for example. So those sort of similar playstyles, if you would, clashing together could make for an interesting matchup, but surely Okami's experience and synergy will see them on top of that one, I would think.
I'm not sure where Ducky's getting this information. Akami didn't 7-0 anyone.
Oh god, don't you love getting fact checked, Ducky?
They did get 7-0.
Love it.
They did get 7-0.
I knew they got 7-0 because I watched that game and it was pantsing and a half.
Yeah.
But,
to be fair, it was wild cards, so
it was still a pantsing and a half, bro.
For Ferox, their worst game of the season was they went 2-7. That was their worst. For the most part, their losses were around 7-4, 7-3. So I don't think it's going to get to the 7-0 territory or even the 7-1 territory. Like my prediction for this would be probably like 7-5 Akami. I think that's the safe bet. Akami.
Man, mate.
Oh, round.
I'm not
He's like, you know what? He's like, you know what, Ducky? You're 7-0. Just throw that out the window. Not like the opposite.
I prefaced my 7-0 prediction with a if they lose on Wednesday. So it's.
I don't see what that's got to do with Friday, but anyway, I think Akami will take this one. Which, look, honestly, it will also spell disaster for Ferox because it means they will be 0-2 after the first week, and having played Akami, which is, I mean, I know you guys obviously have them in the playoffs, and I have them there too, but for Ferox, where are their wins going to come from, right? Like that's the way you got to look at it. Where are their wins going to come from? And honestly, I don't know. That's not saying they're not going to get any, because they will, especially in the best of one meta that we're about to go into. I just feel like they're one of the harder teams to predict this season, that's for sure. They could be anywhere from like 4th to 2nd last.
That's a bit of a feels bad for Rhythm, then. Jeez.
Are you assuming? Are you assuming that I have Rhythm last?
Am I wrong?
You would be correct.
Am I right or am I right? Yeah.
Oh no.
Gee whiz.
Prove me wrong, and I'd love to see it.
all I'm saying is Spruce is no longer on the team, so you just watch what happens. Rhythm are going to come out, and they're going to end up in playoffs. I'm telling you.
Rhythm for number 1.
Rhythm.
Do you want to make an UG bet on that one?
Yeah, we'll do an UG bet on this one, for sure.
You guys are going to keep trading your UG boots back and forth with these.
No. I'm going to end up with 2.
Oh! My left and my right boot.
Oh dear. All right, so look, I think it's going to be an interesting first match in general, and turning up the interesting, honestly, LFO versus Knights, I think is also going to be a really good match.
Look, right? I tipped LFO to beat Wildcard, so obviously I've tipped them to beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Sorry, Ducky.
nice.
Look, just stop saying interesting, Raven, please. All
No,
right,
wait,
it's a
let me
curse.
say what
We've
I
moved
want.
on from this, Raven. What are you on about?
I can say interesting as much as I want on this show, as long as I say
What was Guzz's thing? What was Guzz's thing?
Indeed. But that was like circa 2019. right?
Indeed, I agree. I
Indeed,
agree with everything
interesting.
you've just said.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, I tipped LFO to beat Wildcard, and I'm gonna tip LFO to beat Knights.
Are you just going to tip LFO every week?
He's going to be right sometime. He
as
has to be
as long
right
as the
one of
line
these
in my
times.
bank account keeps going up, then yes. But
Oh, there we go.
Enigma's got you on the payroll.
yeah, they can't find an org, but they've got me on the payroll. Yeah, I don't know. I really feel good about LFO as a team. It's just a general vibe about the thing, and I think that again, it's a lot of things about trying to predict like the second play day of every week is going to be difficult because we're going to rely on a lot of things that we see on the first play day, and when we're making the predictions on Tuesday and the games fall on Wednesday and Friday, we don't have the Thursday to be like, oh, let's change the prediction. Like it could potentially just be that LFO just don't show up and that Pittsburgh are better than we expect when they play Elevate, but I think on face value, if we're going to take last season results, like, yeah, Knights made playoffs, but they were tied with LFO in terms of like a game score. And then like it was the rounds, like 2 rounds they got in over Ferox and LFO.
Yeah.
So these are 2 very evenly matched teams, and honestly, it can swing either way.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do think LFO can definitely put in some good performances this season. But I just would be surprised if the Knights drop off enough where they aren't able to take this game. I think this will be close though. Like, I would not be surprised if this game goes overtime at all. I think this could definitely
It'll be a 7-5. 7-5. I don't know I don't know which way, but it will be like a 7-5, 7-6.
See, I was thinking like an 8-6 from this game.
Oh, 8-6, yeah.
Could come down to the map, and again that really does highlight the format being that best of 1 format, is that this whole map prep and veto is going to be a pretty big factor in how this plays out. If you're able to really like outfox your opponent in terms of the veto or the map that ends up being played, and you've heavy prepped that and maybe they haven't, I think that could be a real swing in how all these matches go, and I wouldn't be surprised if that does play some kind of factor in that game.
Well, I'll bring up the statistics here for 6 Masters, just to unlock this one, since everyone's a little bit unsure.
Analyst Zenox is absolutely on the case.
Just
So,
www.wikipedia.
LFO. Hey, yeah, that's it.
No, he's actually gone to Guzz's Google Drive. That's what he's done.
7-5 to LFO.
Wait, who's in my document? What's going on
Let
here?
me talk, my God. Rude host, okay? Rude host. 7-5 to LFO, but then it was 7-2 to Pittsburgh Knights. So clearly Knights have the advantage, but because LFO won the first map, that gives them an advantage. So I don't know.
Jesus, advantages everywhere, mate. You could almost say that it could go either way, Zenox.
I will go out on a limb. Don't hang me for this, but it could go either way. Controversial. Right here on the reload. You don't get it anywhere else.
I think I'm gonna premise my thought around around Knight's performance in the August major, obviously for Oceania. They played really well. I mean, they've taken down Akami 2-0, and then they've taken it to wildcard. They took the first map off them, and then kept it close 7-5, 7-4, 7-4. So, you know, like, I know that I'm just kind of reading stats there, and it doesn't really mean much. But I think that coming off the back of last season, you know, they finished 4th in the standings, I believe. They had a decent run, I want to say. You know, they made it to that 4th place again. Or was it 3rd place? I think it was actually 3rd place in the playoffs. And to come swing, it has to be 3rd place in the playoffs if they went to the major. But, you know, to come out swinging like that against a team like Wildcard, I think kind of shows their grit and determination. So I'm I'm Knights through and through here. And that's not to discredit LFO at all. I want to make sure that I do say that, because I can see Enigma's in the chat and I don't want to get killed when we're out of here.
Who cares about him? Whatever.
I've got eventually I've got to face him.
You'll see a new suit when you see Enigma next.
Yeah, for sure. He's already been telling me all about his suit collection, so keep an eye out for that one.
He's a dapper man.
Loves it. I guess I'll give my thoughts quickly. I'd probably share a pretty similar sort of thought process as Zenox. I think it's going to be a close matchup, probably overtime. I don't know why I said 7-5 before. Probably something along the lines of like an 8-6.
We call that
8-7,
Guzz,
of
bro.
course. That's called the caster math, which most of the casters in OC
7-5
actually
is still
have.
a close matchup.
Look,
but not overtime, like I said. So.
Look, I've still got the calculator in the mail for Dev, so you know it's all excused basically.
I also do just want to say that Zenox is actually not wearing a Team Liquid jersey. It's actually a Liquipedia jersey. It's actually got the Liquipedia jersey logo right there on the jersey. So that's what he's repping right now.
Yeah.
That's all his prep work. If you go into his Chrome history, it's just gonna be Liquipedia for like the last.
I don't want to go into his Chrome history, dude. But you know, look.
I wasn't going there, but
I think especially when people
player
see what's
name-
coming up, they won't want to.
He's got the player name on the back, and it's / Rainbow Six. Oh, God. What's coming up? Hey, what do I not know about?
The player name on the back is actually 17. He's a PUBG coach.
Oh, yeah. We go way back.
Duh.
Don't you have a segment to run, Manic?
I do, but I'm actually going to let Ducky have the first say here. Ducky, we've got 3 points to make. Would you like to make the first?
Sure. I'll make a point here. I think the big point out of like these two games for me is looking at LFL and Knights. It's another. This is the battle of mid-table. Like it's going to be a who potentially gets a higher seed in the playoffs versus who potentially gets a lower seed in the playoffs, and I think this is one of those break-even games for top 4, like where the winner I would put at this point to be in top 4, and the loser I'd put to be 5-6 or even out of playoffs. Obviously, we spoke about how tight that mid pack is, and based off this game, you know, it could go either way. I think. Look, I think the star force of Mims is something that has to be recognized, because I think he had a lot of, when he pops off for LFO look incredible. And if Mims has another one of those star performances, Knights should be scared.
I think that one point I'll make is I'll piggyback off that. I think that if LFO are able to secure this second play day, and I know that you've got them picked for the first play day, but I'm not going to mention too much about the game against Wildcard, but I think if they can really take down Knights here and make a statement earlier on in the season, I think we could potentially seeing a top 3 kind of run from them. So I would love to see LFO really start on the right foot. I just think that the power that Knights have at the moment, and Zenox is just going to keep taking the piss out of me when I keep saying different things, but I think that Knights, they do have something different, just another gear that they might be able to flick into that potentially LFO don't have right now. So I think that's one.
LFO has gone top 3.
Yeah, if they beat Knights, that's what I'm saying. Like if they're able to topple the Knights, that's a big if for me.
You got to back them in, Rob.
There's a lot of things here to consider though, because like when we're talking about fluctuating between like, oh, like if this happens, but then if this happens, like let's be real, all the teams from basically 2 to 7 are so closely tied that any if you gave me a sheet and it said wildcard 1, rhythm 8, and then just RNG 2 to 7, I would look at that and go, you know what, I can kind of agree with that. And that's going to be the epitome of this game,
especially with best of ones.
Yeah. I guess that's another point to make. You know, again, backing off the previous comment, which is best of ones can really go either way. They really couldn't they, Zenox? They could just go either way. You never really know. You know, it's a 50-50 kind of game. There's 7 rounds to be won, 8 if we go to overtime. You know, someone's going to win the game.
Being an analyst is very difficult.
Wait, hang on. When did you become an analyst?
Yeah, what are you on about?
I don't even have glasses on.
I thought he was just a script reader.
I mean, I'm happy to host tomorrow if you want, bro. Like, give me the call and I'm in.
Oh goodness me! But I think also, you know, we'll just look at that top match for the final point and just say, I think we can all agree that that should be Okami through and through, and that's kind of what I'm gonna leave it on. But Zenox, I think it's about that time.
Is it?
I think it is.
Is it time for the best segment after the second best segment?
It is. So we had the second best segment, and I did say there would be the best segment to come, which is going to be the what is it called again? I actually forgot.
You forgot
I'm joking. I'm joking. It's the Zenox Sexy Play of the Week. Now, unfortunately, this is the first show, and I've already gone away from the title of it because this is the Zenox Sexy Plays from the Six Masters playoffs. From next week onwards, it would be the Zenox Sexy Play of the Week, but obviously we haven't actually played any games yet. Now, the clips that are coming up, sensational. What's better than a 1v3? How about 2 1v3s back to back Raven? Roll the clip. It's time for Zenox's Sexy Play of the Week. Ooh, now that play was sexy.
That
User has planned it 3 versus 2. Strider finds 1. Can Josh find a second one? Yes, he can. Now it's down to a 2 versus 2. 1 behind the bar. Joker almost close to full health. Jack Dad gets Strider though. Big opportunity for Josh in a 1 versus 2. The intro onto Jack Dad is successful. Does he just go for the immediate defuse? Apparently he is. He's not even going to fake it. He will stick it. Never mind. Now he gets off of it. Expecting the push. Well played from Josh. The triple kill and the clutch saving the way for Jack Dad to put that diffuser down. He starts the process now. Triple kill for Ippy Star, but Josh will shoot him. Will shut him down. 1 second left. 1v1. Josh has done clutch things already so far on Billy. Can he do it again? Jack Dad goes below. With the IQ, he can see exactly where he's going to be. Josh moves out of the way from the pistol, though. 33 seconds remaining. And it's a clutch again. Josh, triple kill. It's almost a repeat of what we saw before, Raven. Knights will go up 5-3. What an amazing round.
You've got to answer the question, bro.
Was it a yes? Was it a yes? Can't even speak.
He's lost it. He's lost
Okay.
his words.
In case people don't realize, that was a total surprise for Zenox. He did not have any idea that that was coming. So, he's
that
taken
was-
a while to collect himself.
That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. that made the best segment of the night. The absolute best segment of all time. I mean, I feel like that needs to be a running theme now. Is it like throughout the segment, something just gets planted in there, but it catches the person off guard. I'm gonna get you next week, guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna get you back.
What was the answer? Was the answer yes? Or...
The answer is yes.
Yay!
I would love to cast with you.
That's so beautiful.
That's so
Yes.
cute. That's so cute. I will say that those clips came from the outtakes of the announcement video when I made fun of you messing with your hair, and then I was sitting here just twiddling my thumbs. I was like, surely there's something I could do for this, right? And then snuck it under Raven's desk, and there we go. You have to go back, rewatch it with the audio. It makes it even better.
Is it like?
Maybe it could well be.
It could well be.
Cannot confirm nor deny.
All right. Well,
Yeah. So that was the Zenox Sexy Play of the Week. Now, as you can see, best segment. It can't be topped.
And how sexy of a play that was, or plays.
Yes,
it really was, right? Now, to add some context to it, since I'll be a little bit serious here. So at that point in the time in the playoffs, they had already dropped a map the night, so they were down 1-0. It was 3-3, and then Josh goes and gets a double back-to-back 1v3, puts them up 5-3. What a fairy tale that this is turning out to be. Unfortunately, then they didn't win a single round after that, and they lost. But it was looking good for that time, thanks to Josh.
Yeah.
And then after that, it wasn't looking good anymore.
Yeah, look, they really were some sexy players. I remember watching that. I think we casted it, right? I didn't have the audio for it just then. I'm pretty sure we casted it. But yeah, it was nuts, and just played so well by Josh. It's not just that he aimed perfectly; it's just really smartly played.
Yeah, 100%. And as I said, really, it could have gone either way.
It's the analyst in you coming out, Zenox. Jeez.
So we've got interesting for Raven. We've got Indeed for Guzz, and now it could really go either way for Zenox. So we've got to find something for Manic now.
It's literally just all the sports analogies thrown into one.
Yeah. They gotta dot their I's and cross their T's. That's the one for Manic that he always says.
That was definitely. That was.
Wait, no, hang on. So there was something that when I came in and started casting Rainbow Six, you guys mentioned there was something that Rob used to do when he was surprised by something. When he would be in the middle of casting and something would happen and he's like he hadn't seen that before. What would he say?
I'm trying to remember. This definitely rings a bell. It definitely rings a bell, but I cannot remember.
Did he just go like incomprehensible screaming, like whoa?
That must have been it. That must have been
100%.
Oh yes, Dev has it in chat. It was hang on a second. That was always that was it.
Hang on a second. You can do that?
Yeah.
Cheeky beaky.
Perfect.
That's great.
All right, we better get this back on track. Let's start with these next couple of matches for Playday 2. Elevate versus Rhythm. Now, I'm sure there's been a lot of things said. Well, I know for a fact there's been a lot of things said about Rhythm's performance for potentially this season. So I'm curious, do most people have this being a total smacking, or do we see this being potentially close?
I say it's pantsing.
It's the cellar dwellers.
Yeah. Wait, what?
The cellar dwellers. Have you not heard that before?
No, I've heard that, but you think that Elevate's going to be...
No, I'm just saying it is of Six Masters results. Like I've gone on to the same Wikipedia link that you're looking at. I've seen the bottom of the table and just gone.
Screen sharing for you.
Yeah.
How did you get that link?
Yeah, I got the link, bro. It's on the back of your jersey. It's all good. But for as much as we talk about this being a battle of the cellar dwellers, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that there is definitely going to be a team that looks better on the night, and that team better be Elevate. Otherwise, my tip's wrong, and then I'll be sad.
And we'll be very sad. I think that Elevate, they have to make a statement on the second play day. They have to. They can't allow Rhythm. Realistically, they can't even allow Rhythm to get a couple of rounds. Off the back of last season, I think that Elevate would have been very I know they were disappointed with their own performance. So I think, from that, making the top two to then making the bottom two, this is that's where they get their chance to just shut everything down and just run off with it. So, Rhythm boys, I love you, but I unfortunately don't back you in that one at all. Not with the power that Elevate brings to the match.
Yeah, 7-3, 7-2 in Six Masters to Elevate. I think probably be something similar to that. Maybe 7-4 at best if Rhythm can bring something. But look, Elevate. I don't picture. I think they had an off season for Six Masters, and they'll bounce back a bit. And I think for Rhythm they'll cop a bit of a whacking here. And I think that'll probably be again the story of the season is where's that win going to come from. The good news for them is it is a best of one, so maybe they can get a sneaky pick somewhere along the line.
Who are they playing in the last week? Because I want to see that last week.
They are playing Pittsburgh Knights.
All right, that's where they're going to win. We're going to see the last week Kanga buff.
Seriously,
because they were edging ever closer throughout the last 3 weeks of the season, and then they went to overtime a couple of times, and then finally it happened.
Didn't they 2 seasons ago deny Elevate X Oddity? Wasn't that what happened? They didn't. Was it
no
Kanga Fury? Wasn't it?
That was then
Oh, it was
Fury, so Ferox,
that was then Fury. I'm thinking, yeah.
It's
I was thinking
the team's
Spruce.
changed a lot since then, but yeah, no. I mean, I think
Raven's having some mad flashbacks right now.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it.
Oh, sorry to bring that one up, mate. That's
It's fine. Look, I tend to agree with what everybody has said. I don't see Elevate dropping this, and I think this is definitely an important statement game. I mean, if they don't come out with a victory in Playday 1, this is super critical for them because based on what we all seem to think, these should be their most guaranteed points for the season. So if they don't manage to get these, they really do look maybe in danger again for having a low finish to the season. But I'm definitely in the camp that I think Six Masters was a bit of an anomaly for them and just a bit of an off season. They had some close matches that just didn't go their way, but at the end of the day, you have to win matches to be able to get the points, right? So I think
jeez, it could go either way, right?
Deep analysis. But yeah, look,
in the
I just don't see
post-match
them
interview, all we're gonna hear is it's like, it's all right. The boys got the 3 points tonight. We're proud of them. I'm gonna make sure that we shore up our weaknesses and be able to hit the track next week. It's just gonna be the generic sports like post-game interview.
Classic.
Has to be.
Yeah.
That is your embodiment, Rob. That is you. You've just got all of the cliches.
Oh, it needs to be. It needs to be done.
I guess sort of just summarizing on that point and leading on from it a little bit. One thing we haven't really mentioned is the fact that it's only a 7 play day season for Oceanic Nationals this time around. So it's super, super condensed. If you do, as you mentioned, lose against Rhythm, and Rhythm are, as we are expecting, do finish last, that's a massive discrepancy you've got to the other 6 teams in the league. And when it's so tight, pardon me, like we're expecting, then you're in real danger of that relegation position.
Cool.
Indeed.
Just an intriguing one here, though, is just looking at the wonderful Wikipedia. So for Elevate, their first 3 matchups in Six Masters 2020, they won the opening round the first 3 weeks. So they were 3-0. For the rest of the season, they didn't win the first game in the best of 2s for the remainder of the season. So technically, if of course Six Masters was best of 1s, they would have gone 3-4, which is still not that great. So look, I think Elevate's a team that can really be hard done by these best of 1s. They won quite a few to tie it up 1-1, and they won't be able to do that this time around. If they lose their Playday 1, I would actually say they could very well be 0-2, just based off a confidence loss. But I don't think it'll happen. That's like the 1% they'll win this. Let's move to Wildcard and Noble now. So we all agree that this is definitely the game probably of the week.
I'm not sure. We've had about 3 of those already.
Well, it can be one of the games of the week, and definitely
definitely
the matchup of Playdate 2. That's for sure.
Yes. If you're going to pick one game, of which, why are you just picking one game? Just watch all 4. But if you had to pick one game, be sure to tune in at 10 o'clock, because that is going to be, and I've said it many times this time, it's either going to be a barn burner, a rip snorter, or both at once. those are my 2 things.
I like it.
Yeah, heading into this game, I'm likely expecting Wildcard to be out on top. For me, probably the most intriguing storyline will be Vinny playing on Wildcard, so he'll be versing against his own or his old team.
Potentially.
If he still plays them after the XP Esports event. Big if.
I'm gonna look this up because I swear it's public. I'll keep talking though. I'll look it up.
But yeah, as I was saying, Vinny, of course, versing his old squad, so there might be a little bit of jittery, some jitters heading into that one potentially, and of course, Vinny would have a pretty good insight to what Noble's going to bring to the table, right? And vice versa, Noble are probably expecting Vinny to enter on IQ, etc., etc. So Wildcard should come out on top. But what are you guys laughing at?
Nothing. Nothing.
I'm pretty sure Manic and I are laughing at this.
Nothing. Yeah, we definitely are.
Wildcard's gonna win. I'll throw it over.
Look, my conclusion is I don't see any tweets about it. So, if it happens, it happens. Yes. It would be a very interesting storyline.
Yeah.
I've said it in the Snowball Esports prediction space this week, which isn't out yet, but you're gonna get a little tidbit of it. I've said that if and I've said it earlier, if Vinny doesn't join Wildcard, I'm gonna do something for the clout. Look, for this game, I'm not sure how Noble's gonna do. That's pretty much my analysis of it.
Nice.
It's scintillating analysis. We're really going down the dregs of analysis right now.
Zenox would be proud.
Yeah. Look, off the top of my head, this wasn't a really close affair, but Zenox is definitely going to pull up Liquipedia and correct me in about 30 seconds. But I think that if we see the wild card that we saw at the end of six Masters and during the six major, then this is going to be a pretty straightforward affair for them. If we saw the wild card that dropped 2 maps to LFO in the spring sweep, this is going to be a lot closer than people might think. I still see this as being.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. You're just going to say it could go either way.
I'm not. You cut me off just as I say. I think it's going to be a wild card win, and I say that with about 90% confidence. But I think this is going to be a real test for Noble. That if they pick up like 4 or 5 rounds or force this into OT, that alone for them will probably be a win. Not necessarily the one they would be hoping for, but they can at least be confident in that result rather than just being pelted 7-0, 7-1, 7-2.
It's 50-50. It's on a nice edge. I'm kind of on the fence about it, you know? I'm
not. I think this is very much one-sided. I can't see anything but Wildcard getting the win here, especially since it's best of one. I think that they'll be able to take this one comfortably. I'm willing to say 7-4, 7-4, 7-5-ish. I don't think it'll even go to overtime. It'll be a really good matchup. Don't get me wrong. I think Wildcard will win, and I think they'll win 7-5, 7-4, but it'll be a really good matchup to watch to see can Noble really mix it. Like in the actual rounds themselves, are they going to be close? Which I think they will be, but Wildcard will edge it on top, especially when you go back and like these two teams haven't played each other at this level for a long time, I think.
They matched up in the first week of Six Masters, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did. I can confirm that on the Liquipedia.
God.
There it is.
Giga brain.
The standout map from
I set you up for that one.
The standout map from that series was Theme Park.
April 28th. So unless they've played each other, obviously outside of scrims, unless they've played each other in some other tournament, since then, that's a long time between drinks, regardless of course, any roster changes. 7-4 and 7-5 in that, and I think it'll be 7-4 or 7-5 in this one.
So it's not going to be one-sided, and it won't be a whopping. It'll be close.
Well, I mean, technically 7-4 I think is kind of one-sided. 7-5 is kind of close-ish. We're not talking overtime here, and I'm not thinking it's going either way. I think Wildcard are definitely going to win it.
I'll back that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look, because Manic broke the trend of the 3 exciting things.
He did.
I'm going to bring out a couple of points of my own. I think it's hard to look past the excitement of that last game. Personally, I think this could be an upset to Noble. They have been able to pull just random things out before, and I think given the format change to be the BO1, maybe they will be able to pull out a surprise in terms of that map veto. Wildcard in particular, they've always had a really strong map pool, and generally they've just banned one map that they're just not comfortable with, and then they generally don't mind what they play. But with the best of one
The
veto,
one map being border. Like
yes.
90% of the time.
So with just their veto style and the way that their map pool usually structures out, I just think because of the best of one, it kind of gives Noble a bit more freedom to maybe have a surprise on Wildcard on some of these maps that maybe Wildcard think they'll be comfortable to play, but doesn't turn out that way. Noble really strike me as that kind of team. They are the team that pulled off that trick play against Knights that we're going to talk about for years, I'm sure, on Clubhouse, where they faked which site they were at, and they perfectly baited the Knights to go to the wrong bomb site. So that's just the style that Noble are. I think that they could get the upset. I still think Wildcard are going to win it, but it just really excites me, this matchup. I think it's going to be a big potential overtime game. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 8-7, honestly.
Ooh.
The one thing that I think of immediately when I think of Noble/Sinister on Clubhouse is Derpe running out of CCTV.
Exactly.
And, getting the resin garage on Nico. That's a nuts play. That was just a delight to watch. And to hear cast because it was Dev, and as I mentioned at the top, Dev's my favorite caster.
Get him off.
Is that why it's your
Get him
favorite?
off.
Oh,
Get him out. Get him
maybe.
out.
I could be biased.
Look, the other thing that I'm really excited about for Playday 2 is Elevate and Rhythm, because I think the two colliding storylines there is just a great thing to be able to follow, whether it's Elevate rising back into a higher spot, because it is Playday 2 and they could be looking at 2-0 at this instance, which would put them in top contention, up in the top 4. Whereas Rhythm, they need to shake this monkey off the back. I mean, if you've listened to this show the whole time, you will hear the way we've spoken about Rhythm. And
Wait
I'm sure...
a second. I see what you've done here. You're saying that Elevate are gonna elevate and Rhythm are gonna have to get into Rhythm.
Oh, I wasn't going to say that, but you know what? You said it. So...
This is why.
Save that one for the broadcast, lads.
Big brain. I see what you're getting at.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Zenox. But yeah, look, I just think those competing storylines are very alluring with this matchup, and it excites me as well. So those last two games in particular, I think are going to be the best we'll see for Playday 2. LFO Knights definitely has potential, but yeah, I think those last two are really exciting.
I love how hard you were trying not to say interesting then. You were really trying.
You can see it, right? Yeah, I almost said it.
I can't see, but I can hear it. Yeah.
He's really like focusing deadpan into the camera. You can see the like vessels just like.
I was really accessing my internal thesaurus that is thankfully not hosted on Wikipedia, and I found alluring, and that came out. So
ooh.
There we go.
Boom.
Cool. Does anybody have any other exciting point? Because I don't have a third, and seeing as Manic didn't say 3, I don't want to say 3.
Oh, I think we've got a brand promo to run.
Do we?
You're the director now.
Well,
right here.
It says it.
Right here. Hang on. Let me share the document with Twitch chat.
Put it in chat.
Look, you're not wrong,
Check
Zenox.
coming to give us all the analysis and pointers.
And just because I want to just save everybody from what we might say after that, I am going to run that brand promo because I've been prompted to do so. We'll see you guys very shortly.
One. And we're back. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
We were all competing for it. It was like the seagull singing Finding Nemo. Like mine. Who's gonna get the lead in?
Yeah. Cool. Well, look, we have gone through both Playdays now. You'll see the schedule for Playday 1 back up here. We want to talk about more broad predictions for, I guess, this season. We can flick between these two schedules as we go. One thing I do want to throw into the ring here when we think about these predictions, and maybe we could have talked about earlier, but I just want to bring it up now, is Shadow Legacy has brought some pretty big changes to the way Siege can be played, and I think especially at top level. One in particular is going to be the reinforcement pool, and the other is going to be the ping system. I think both of those have the potential to be a big
Everyone
impact.
audibly groans at Ping 2.0.
I was giggling at you.
So yeah, look, I think they have factors to bring into this because it could change how certain teams end up performing.
Can I just say, as one of the newer members to the R6 community, that the reinforcement pool I think is an amazing idea because you do not understand the amount of times when playing and you're not sure where to put things and people have to ping it. Like now I don't have to do it at all.
Now we can just run away from the site and do absolutely nothing.
As they say, hey, Zenox, can you do something? Like, nah, mate, you got them in the pool.
I'm pretty sure the most useless player is meant to play some more, isn't he? Isn't that how it goes?
Well, not if you don't know where to put them.
He's going to put them in the wrong spot. You're going to be screwed for the rest of the round.
Xenox is definitely not playing.
Who put that there?
Who's reinforcement?
Why did you bother calling him in the... He was the first one on your list, Steven. He was the first one you rung up.
Well, look, I was very desperate, all right? I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel that day. Xenox was online. I was like, oh, if I have to.
He is copying it.
I think even with or without Zenox, you still lost Elo that day, though, yeah?
That's a safe bet. That's a safe bet. All right, look, let's...
Can I just say, by the way, that I did get a 5k. I got an 8.
Oh!
In one of our stack sections.
You're a boss.
Is that a flex?
It was. I think it was on your stream as well, actually. I should have saved the clip.
Should have.
I would have deleted it.
We could have... It could have been...
I ain't seen you getting any aces on your stream.
Yeah, I definitely don't. Don't watch my streams ever, please. They're bad.
Look, let's get into these predictions. I want to talk, like I said, big perspective here, like the whole season. Who's making playoffs? Who's potentially looking at relegations? So, feel free to just jump in and start, spinning your.
I'm probably gonna. I'm gonna quickly start off and say that I think Ferox and Rhythm looking.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I have this part sucks. All right, I'm just gonna say this out loud because I never get a chance to. This part of commentating, of hosting anything, absolutely sucks. Say hello to your Mrs. Zenox. I hate calling who's gonna lose. I hate calling teams that potentially might be down the bottom of the ladder. But like we were saying before, there's 8 teams. 2 of them are not going to make it. So you just have to go out there on a limb and you're going to make a prediction. I'm just going to flat out say Rhythm and Ferox. Not because they're bad teams. Oh, my word. What just happened then? Oh, he's got a nice hat, mate. I guess you could say it's living, Barry.
So I think
I was just laughing at the glasses.
Bottom 2 for me, I'm definitely going with Rhythm and Ferox as well, and whatever the rest of Rob said.
Look, I'm going to make sure that
say
Guzz
one of the
feels
misses,
left out here. We're all ripping out the glasses. Look, I'm going to follow par for the course. I'm going to be... We're really the Rhythm and Ferox game for 7-8 here, but... I think there is a bunch of teams that could fall into 7th. Like your LFOs, even your Nobles Knights or Elevates could all fall down there. It's really just the way the cookie crumbles. If we're going to continue the analogies that we've been dotting throughout this podcast, it could really go. And because it's a round robin system and every team only plays each other once, it could be that if you lose against one of those teams that you were expected to beat, like you're an Elevate and you perhaps drop a game to Rhythm, that really sets you back very, very far in the season. Like you have to like regain that through like getting a win against Wildcard or getting a win against the Kami to try and juggle that out. And so because it's single round robin, best of 1, there are a ton of teams that could be in that bottom spot. And now I think on the other end of the table, I think there's 2 very clear front runners in Wildcard and Akami. I'm going to go for Wildcard because Caliber Jacobs said Akami. So that we all know how that ends.
Nice. Look, I'm gonna jump in and just piggyback off the potential Ferox and Rhythm bottom 2. They just don't, at this stage, don't strike me as teams that are going to be able to break into that top 6. And as we said, that mid pack, I think is really competitive, and it could go a lot of different ways. But I think at the end of the day, Ferox and Rhythm seem to feel like they don't have as much promise as the other teams for this stage. And then at the top end, I think Wildcard will be on top, but I don't think it's going to be as clear as Six Masters. I'm honestly thinking this is going to be close. And then the people nipping at their tail is going to be a real mixture between Okami, Noble, and then I'm thinking that Elevate are going to make a strong comeback this season and will break into top 4 again. But I wouldn't put LFO too far behind them. I mean, like, and Knights as well, like, they easily could be there. So I think outside of the bottom
So it's
two,
almost like saying Rhythm and Ferox are just, at the bottom and everyone else, it's
pretty much
it could go either way.
It pretty much is. I think that is. Just
I
like
think
the
I think the
difference.
race from like 3 to 7 is super tight. Even 2 to 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
One
it.
thing I do want to say as well that is also a good thing to consider is not just the top 6 will make the playoffs. It's that top 3 at the end will go to the next major, and that's obviously a huge deal, especially for wildcard, who have a big opportunity to secure more SI points to actually make it to 6 Invitational in February.
Yeah, yeah, that was sort of the point I was going to bring up. Bottom 2, I think we've got a pretty similar consensus. Lock in Ferox and Rhythm probably going to be in that bottom 2, but that top 3, as Ducky has said a couple of times, is really tough to predict. You would expect Wildcard and Okami to likely finish first and second, but that third spot is well and truly in the air. You would have thought Noble at the end of Six Masters 2020, but then their playoffs were terrible and they've had a roster change. So they're going to be in a bit of strife. Elevate, though, if they come up strong, they could well make that top 3. So it's anyone's game at the moment. And as you mentioned, Wildcard need to push hard, because if they don't, one, qualify for the major, and then I guess moving on from that, do well at the major, they'll be in some serious strife at making SI, which is obviously their ultimate goal.
And if they get that first in the November major, that's the spot locked up. I'm pretty sure that's enough points. It's the same for South Asia as well. Is like, if that team just wins 2 seasons in a row, that's their one spot at SI locked up. And I think Wildcard would definitely be hungry to show that they weren't the team that they were at SI, where they just got knocked out in straight sets this time around. And to be honest with you, it wasn't even close. Like, they got pummeled 2 games in a row. It wasn't like their Pro League Season 10 performance where they took Na'Vi to the wire. And, if they manage to get a smooth sailing season throughout Oceanic Nationals, they then win the November Major, and then they go to SI. If they can keep that form riding, like, they've got a lot to prove there and almost nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well,
Cool.
That's us for predictions. And look, I'm going to bring us back to the full cams, because this is where we will unfortunately say goodbye to Ducky for the show. But look, it's been
My
great
job
having
interview
you
obviously
on.
didn't go well enough, I guess. I really was trying for the host position off this.
Yeah, look.
The way. Which way do
can't
I
say
look?
too
Do I
much.
look? I think I look that way.
No, other way.
No,
Other way.
other way.
Say goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye,
I'm
Ducky.
gonna get this way. Ducky. But look, it's been great having you on the show, Ducky. Really appreciated your contributions. I think, as a lot of people could have got from this, you're really into the Rainbow Six scene here in Oceania. You know what you're talking about. And look, they can find a lot of the things that you're happy to say in the Snowball articles all throughout the season, as we are teamed up, as well as the Snowball predictions. But I'll let you finish off that plug and all the stuff that Snowball is going to be offering throughout Oceanic Nationals.
Yeah, so Snowball this season, really proud to once again team up with Ubisoft to present more media for Oceanic Nationals. You can find all of this Oceanic Nationals coverage that we're doing, so previews, recaps, MVPs, player interviews, you name it, it's going to be on Snowball. So that is on Twitter, Snowball Esports, all one word. Our website is snowballesports.com. If you want to find more of my wonderfully hot takes and potentially trying to snipe another spot on the ESL ticker or during the breaks and broadcast, where I like to get some more clout by being on stream, it's Devicki _ other side. I'm very bad at this. I don't own a mirror. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for having me on. I can't wait to create more great content for ANZ Siege. It's a scene that I'm really passionate about, and there's a lot of great stories that deserve to be told, and hopefully not just over the course of this Oceanic National season, but the coming years I'll be able to tell more and more stories and hopefully get a lot more people excited about ANZ Siege for once we eventually lift the hammer.
Absolutely, mate. Yep, look, thanks again for coming on. We are just going to quickly have a very short break. You'll see us on the other side to close out the show.
All right, cheers,
All
guys.
right, welcome back, guys. Yeah, look, we have had quite a big show here. We talked about the 2 play days coming up for this week for Oceanic Nationals. It is, of course, the first week of Oceanic Nationals Stage 2. Look, guys, any closing thoughts about all the matches? Anything else that you wanted to get off your chest before we start to wrap this up?
Yeah, thank God Ducky's gone.
Jeez, mate. Jeez.
I'm kidding. No, but on a serious note, he is absolutely phenomenal. I think that the little spiel he gave, for someone who doesn't like being in front of camera, he gave that pretty spot on.
Totally
and
agree.
I think he is a very passionate fan of esports, the wider esports, but I think Rainbow Six, especially in ANZ, is extremely lucky to have him, guys. So, please do go over and support the work that he does, because it in turns help us, and it helps pretty much the sorry, Ducky, it pretty much helps the entire scene. So no, I have mad respect for what he does and the way that he articulates the beautiful words. So good stuff, big fella.
Indeed.
Oh, he said it! He said the line! He said
I didn't even mean to say it as a meme, to be completely honest. I guess on a personal level, I'm quite excited to jump into this season. It's been a significant break since the conclusion of Six Masters 2020. I mean, we did have the Oceanic Major, but being a part of the broadcast itself is always pretty special. I'll also be casting with Zenox for the first time, as we revealed earlier in the show. So really keen for that. Keen to be jumping into a color role as well, which I've never done. So a lot to look forward to this season, and it should be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to have Rob back on, part of the crew as well. Has been amazing. Really offers, just that extra bit of insight that we weren't quite getting from Dev. So really, the show can only get better from here, right? Also, in terms of the reload, I thought tonight was just so much fun. I hope everyone thoroughly enjoyed it. Let us know as well on all the socials what your favorite part of the night was, whether it was, Zenox's
and why it was
Sexy Player of the
Guzz's
Week,
content of the week,
or
and why
it was Zenox's Player of the Week, or what part about Zenox Player of the Week, Sexy Player of the Week that you guys liked. Feel free to let us all know. Any suggestions as well? I mean, we're more than happy to take those on board. And look, obviously, it's not meant to be a super serial show. It's meant to be like, serial. That's the whole point. When it's not serial.
Sorry, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
It is meant to be lighthearted banter and with some insightful analysis. And I hope we hit that spot tonight, which I feel like we did, and I had a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, the show definitely
tune
could
in
have gone
tomorrow.
either way. But look, I think the show has been great. I agree. So you can catch us weekly now on this time slot, Tuesday nights from 8:30. We'll start the countdown, but 8:45 is when you will start to see our faces. And we'll start recapping and previewing matches. So you'll see highlights from the week gone. And we'll talk about the matches coming up, similar to how we did tonight. But obviously tonight was much more preview focused. You'll be able to.
It'll be
catch the
quicker,
past-
I promise.
Yes, it will potentially be quicker. Maybe not though, because I mean, I don't know. You guys can definitely continue talking to no end. I can too, but look, we definitely talked a lot tonight, but it was great. You will be able to catch all the past episodes as well on the Rainbow Six ANZ YouTube. There will be a past broadcast on the Twitch channel as well if you are watching on Twitch. So please have a look. Come tune in next week. Thanks to Ubisoft as well for having this show. Oceanic Nationals is a really exciting thing coming up this week, and talking about Oceanic Nationals, you see it with us tonight, and the two hats. I'm wearing a Live-In t-shirt. Guzz is wearing a Live-In t-shirt. They are one of our beautiful sponsors for Oceanic Nationals, as well as Samsung. So definitely big thanks to them for keep on living. That's right. They have a great message, so if you don't know too much about Living, definitely give them a look up, because it's a beautiful message that they are putting out. But yeah, that definitely wraps the show. So thanks so much again to everybody for tuning in. We will be rotating through all the hosts. It won't always be all 4 of us week to week. It'll be at least 3 of us. So yeah, come tune in next week, see who's there. But until then, we'll see you then.
Au revoir.
bullshit.